Hi animation class, and welcome back to another tutorial. This is lesson 2, which we are going to be working with graphics and text. All right, so let's get started. What you see in front of me here, this is actually what we're going to create. We're going to create everything here from scratch. Now in this particular lesson, we're not going to do a lot of animating. In other words, there's not going to be any motion that's going to be worked through in this particular lesson. In other words, the timeline, we're going to work with somewhat, but there's not going to be any frames or keyframes added in this lesson too. We're primarily going to be looking at just creating things on the stage, creating from scratch. All right, so let me just read off what's going to happen in this lesson. We're going to draw rectangles and ovals and also some other shapes to create this, right? We're also going to modify shapes. And we're going to, of course, we're going to use the tool panel extensively on this side, on the left-hand side, where you use a lot of different tools to be able to create this. All right. We're going to understand fill. We're going to understand fill and stroke settings, create and edit curves with variable width strokes. Again, you can take a look just in this one area in this cup. You can see that there's going to be some creativity happening there. All right. We're going to apply some gradients, right, and transparency. And again, if you don't know what a gradient is, look at this cup right here and the way that it has a grade from like the darker side to the lighter side, and it kind of transitions over. That's a gradient, right? And we're going to be using it obviously in this part here. We're also going to use the fluid brush tool and art pattern brushes for expressive drawing. And again, these brushes, and like I mentioned a little bit in lesson 1, that you're going to be using some Wacom tablets later on in the lessons, and I want you to, especially with your projects, I want you to understand that with the Wacom tablets, the brush tools are really, really cool to use those, right? So then we're also going to create and edit text and use web fonts. We're going to distribute objects on the stage, as you can see this, and of course we remember what the stage is, right? What we can see. We're going to be creating some and editing some symbols, understanding symbols and instances, and then finally applying filters to symbol instances. And of course, symbols could be a repeating pattern like what we see like this checkered board, right? And it's going to be a repeated pattern. That's what kind of a symbol is. We'll get more into that towards the end of the lesson. All right, so it's going to be quite a ride. It's going to be broken down into multiple pieces. And today what we're going to do is we're going to actually build this first, the cup here. We're just going to, the basic part of the cup. We're not going to get too far into it, because those are different lessons, but we're going to start with that. But before all that, I'm going to quit Animate here so I can start with you. All right. And the first thing we're going to do is open up Animate. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We'll open up Animate as we normally do. And then we're going to bring us to our start page. Okay. And when we get here, we're going to go over here to the, I'm going to click over here so you can see, we're going to click on Create New. Click that, and then we are going to, if you're anywhere else, character animation up here on the presets, if you're anywhere else, you need to go to advanced. All right. Once you're in advanced, we're going to look for something very specific. All right. Yours are probably going to be shuffled. Everybody might have theirs in a different spot. We have Air, ActionScript, Air for Android, iOS, but we're actually going to be looking for, specifically, we're going to be looking for HTML5. Okay, we're actually going to create an HTML5 canvas. Again, HTML5 is a web standard. It took over Flash. So let's click that. You can double click that or click it once and then hit create, and it'll give you this setting here. All right. So if you went ahead and did that, what we're going to do is we're actually going to change the actual dimensions for this. And you don't have to do this, but I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to open recent, and I'm going to open one that I've already had open, right? And if you look at the stage here, I'm going to zoom this into about 200%. You don't have to do this. This is just an example. This is what we're going to end up with. You can tell the shape of my canvas is different from the shape that we created here, right? It's more rectangle. So to fix that, we're going to go over here and we're going to go to the document settings over here, right? And where it says width, we're going to change it. I'm going to go ahead and click this multiple times so you can see it. Width is 700 and the height is 200. I'm going to click it multiple times so you can see it. Then 200, 200, 700 for the width, 200 for the height. Okay, W and H. And then there you go. When you look back, and of course that's 200. So let's go ahead and zoom this into 200. That way you can have something nice. And if you have a timeline here, like I would like to see my timeline anyway because I'm going to be working with it, right? Let's go to Window. Well, I'm going to do this. Workspaces. Remember what we're going to go back to Essentials, reset Essentials. And yeah, it'll give you my timeline, right? It'll give me my timeline back. And I kind of want this just because it's comfort level. I want to be able to have my same look, right? So anyway, we're in Canvas now. And now we've got the basic part done. And what we want to do now, obviously, I'm going to hit this little area here. I'm going to click around it so you know what I'm looking at. And it's going to click this little center stage. I'm going to center it so it can bring and it can center my stage in my document. What we want to do now is we want to save this file, right? And again, we're going to save, and we did this many times, but we're actually going to save this as a master file. And you can save or save as for this particular time. It's going to work the same way. I'll hit save, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and what we're going to be doing, you and I, we're going to go down here and we're going to type in, everybody with me, 02, because it's lesson 2, underscore, right? Working copy. We're going to call a lot of them working copy. Underscore 01. Or actually just leave it working copy. It's fine. .fla. 02 working copy. .fla. 02 working copy. .fla. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and we're going to navigate. It could be in lesson 2, right? You're going to go back to that Animate folder, and you're going to find that lesson 2 folder. And you're going to go ahead and put that, we're going to put it in to where it's lesson 2 start. There's a lesson 2 start. I have additional files. Don't worry about that because I'm working through these before I record the videos. So I may have a little more copies than you do. So don't worry about that. You just need the one we're making right now. 02 working copy FLA. We're going to put it into the 02 start folder. All right. So we're going to click that. Mine's going to say replace. Yours is going to just save because I remember I was working on this before. Yours will just save. And now we are ready to rock and roll. All right. So we're here. And if it moves, I'm just going to recenter it. All right. And so again, we're here at our basic starting point. So we want to understand strokes and fills. Right. So strokes and fills are parts of shapes and are also parts of text, which is basically the main body of the stroke or the text, right? Like, and then the outline is called the stroke. So all the shapes and all text will have those two things a part of it. All right. And they're independently, you can independently adjust them. They're independently, you can change them, the colors are independent. You can manipulate them independently. That's the word I was looking for. All right. And so what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to start making our cup, right? We're going to start making our cup. And if you look back here, I'm going to flip over to the end result. This cup is actually ovals and a rectangle, believe it or not. And we're going to use that we're going to use the rectangle tool and the oval tool to create this cup right now. All right. So what we're going to do, the very first thing we need to do is when we're creating shapes, we're going to be with the intent of stroke and fills in mind. We're going to create a shape. So we're going to come over here to the left-hand side, and we're going to look at this rectangle tool, right? And again, you can hover. I'm going to click it multiple times so you can see it. I'll click around it just to get your attention. There's a rectangle tool. If you click and hold, you're going to see all these other tools. The oval tool down here, we're going to use that in a minute, but not right now. We're going to stick with the rectangle tool. All right. And what I need you to do right now is I want you just to make, in the center of this white space, I just want you to make a box. Don't worry about the color. Yours is probably different than mine. Just make a rectangle. Probably, longer than it, taller than it is wider. All right. Something. And it doesn't have to be exact. We're going to fix that in a minute. All right. So what I want you to do, remember when we make a shape, there's two things that I made. We made the fill, which is the inside, and we made the outline, which is called a stroke. So if you go over here on this side and you see these two color boxes, they're specifically talking about the two colors that represent the center, which is the fill, and the outline, which is the stroke. So if I change this to yellow, right, and I basically color the inside, or I should say, let me go ahead and reset this. If I color the inside, you can see the stroke on all around. You don't have to follow me. This part right here is just so you can understand what we're doing here. It's an illustration, right? So here's the fill that I clicked on it, right? And then of course you see the outline, which is a stroke, which if I click on it, I can get rid of it. I did this on purpose so you can actually see the two different parts. Here's the fill and this is the stroke. I want to make sure that you really get that concept, because that really affects the way that you work and manipulate things, not just in Animate, but in Photoshop and in Illustrator. So once you learn that concept, it translates through all Adobe stuff, all Adobe products. So I'm going to go back here on the very top, and you go ahead and follow me and do this. I'm going to click out here on the stage, and I'm going to drag over and make a big window. I'm going to select everything, and then I'm going to hit the delete key. Boom. Because I was just showing you. We're going to do that one more time. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and click the rectangle tool, but don't get ahead of me. Let's get everything prepared before we get there. So we're going to come over here to our fill and our stroke side. And I want to get our colors right. So the inside, I want it to be kind of an orange, right? So I'm going to click the fill, and I'm going to go here to this, to our hex code, right? Remember we did the UT color. And we're going to do a specific color called, or it's going to be labeled. I'm sorry, mine disappeared. It's going to be hashtag. By the way, hashtag's right above the 3. Hashtag 663300. Right? Let me double check that. Hashtag 663300. All right. Actually, you know what? That's going to be for the stroke. That's going to be for the outline. So it's my bad. I'll click that. Let's fix that. Hashtag 663300. So that's like a brown, right? Let's go up to the fill right here. And I'm going to click around it so you can see. Let's go to the fill. And we're going to change that one to hashtag CC 6600. Enter. And that's orange. So let's go ahead and I'll repeat that for the stroke here, right? For the stroke, click around it so you can see it. It's going to be hashtag 663300. Okay. I guess I accidentally touched something. So 663300. And it's brown. And the fill is going to be CC or hashtag CC6600. All right. And the fill is hashtag 663300. I know it's kind of crazy, right? But that's the way these hex codes work. They're really a formula recipe. But anyway, let's go ahead and redo that rectangle box. And now we got an orange one, and I'll create that cool box. And now when we create it, it has the brown outline and the orange stroke. All right. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we are going to we're actually going to create the correct size for this. Let's go ahead and, again, click outside the stage. Oh, I'm sorry. Go up here. We were using our rectangle tool. Let's go here and hit our selection tool, which is the top tool. And let's go ahead and click outside the stage. And then, again, do our selection box just like that. I'll do it one more time. You just click and drag, and then it'll envelop the little your little box. But it'll also open up some options over here on the properties menu. Remember, this property menu will change depending on what you're highlighting. So here's the width, right? And the width we're going to enter it as 130, and the height we're going to do 150. Oops, 150. Boom. So now we're going to have, that's the exact proportions that we're going to be working with. 130, I'm going to click around here, and hopefully this is magnified. 130 and 150. All right. 130 by 150. 130 wide, 150 height. All right. So then we'll go ahead and grab this, click this, and just center it. Okay. And we're done. Now I want to show you something. If I don't do this clicking and selecting the entire shape, and I just want to grab the shape and move it, what happened? What happened was I just selected the fill and I moved it. You remember you can adjust them independently. So if something happens, or you grab the fill and you move it, right? You grab the fill, the stroke, and you move it. You can take it, actually deconstruct it. Whoa, what are you doing, Mr. Waters? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm basically just gonna move it back. Just undo. I just undid. And so basically, I just wanted to illustrate how the stroke and the fill are independently adjustable. So you have to kind of click and drag basically to select everything that we're selecting, because in reality we're actually selecting 5 things: the top, the bottom, the left, the right, and the center fill, right? So now that we have that taken care of, I want to make sure that you come over here to the right hand side where it says doc, click that, and your magnet little button should be engaged. The little magnet button means that you're snapped. In other words, your objects will be snapped to each other, because we're going to need that for a second. Go back to your, okay, once that is selected, right, you're going to go back to your object. Make sure you click up here where it says object, right? And then we're actually going to start to create something different. Now we're going to start working with our oval tool, right? So you can click anywhere here, and then we're going to go to our rectangle tool, click and hold, and then we're going to go down to our oval tool. All right. And so what we're going to do is I want you to click on just, maybe go a quarter of the ways down, right? And along the left-hand side of the rectangle we created. And I want you to click and then drag. And as you're dragging, I want you to drag up and down and see how you can just drag. And you can drag up. I'm going to drag up a little bit, and I'm going to click until it snaps or it sticks to the right-hand side. Boom. Right? But I'm not going to get rid of everything because I want a real true oval, so I'm going to leave it just like that. Okay? So I've created an oval on top. Again, this may take a couple of tries. Don't forget you can Command Z, Control Z on your Chromebooks or at home on a Windows machine. When I say Command, you try Control if you're on a different machine. But here in class, it's going to be Command Z for undo if we need to do that. And of course, Command C for copy, Command V for paste, and so on. So next thing we need to do, we're going to create a second oval, but we're actually going to make sure that we still have the oval tool. Okay, here's our oval tool, and toward the bottom, we're going to create a second oval, and we're going to. This is going to be almost like a quarter of the way up, a little bit, and then we're going to just click on one side, and we're going to make another oval, right? Just like that, and we're going to try to match like the shape a little bit. It doesn't have to necessarily match exactly. A little variance is cool too. So this is what you should have currently. All right. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. Again, you can pause this at any time if you are falling a little bit behind. All right. Just remember also that notice that I made a brown stroke and a orange fill in the center. Okay. And I'm going to show you this just by showing you just clicking and dragging and making another one. I want you to notice. You don't have to do this part, but I want you to notice that the fill and the stroke were still there, right? They were still there from the previous time that we created it. All right. But not only that, your opacity over here should always be at 100 now. It may be at a different number because, and I'm going to click around here, because of the last project we worked on, we messed with opacity a little bit. If your orange isn't that strong, you're probably going to have to go back, and we'll do that in a second with our bucket tool, right? And you may have to go back and you may have to bring that up to 100%. So your opacity is at 100%. So it remembers. The Animate will remember your last settings, and if I pull out the rectangle tool, the colors will stay the same until I change them. All right. So This is what you should see in front of you. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start making some selections. We're going to start modifying things. And again, we're going to be modifying them by grabbing different pieces and starting to carve away at our shapes. Think about a sculptor kind of with a piece of rock, or you've seen these awesome chainsaw artists where they use a chainsaw to create art on a tree stump. Well, we're going to actually carve things away just like that in a second, right? Because we have our base components here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start selecting things so it can look more like a coffee cup. All right. So again, this is where we're at, where our destination is going to be trying to get this cup. And I know it looks like we're never going to get there, right? But hopefully you can kind of see where we're going, right? So we've got these two areas. So now we're going to start selecting things. So we're going to go back to our selection tool, which is the very top over here, this little arrow. And those of you who want to start getting used to shortcuts on your keyboard, if you hover, it not only tells you the name, but it also gives you the keyboard shortcut. So selection tool, all you have to hit is the letter V by itself, and it automatically takes you to the selection tool. If you go down here where it says oval tool, the O. So I want you to take a look at this side tools panel. If I hit O, see how it switches over, and I hit V, it changes back. Now, pros, that's how they select tools. They don't even look at the tool panel. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of graphic design friends of mine that they don't even have the toolbar open. They only use the keyboard because they've worked with it every day. Now, to get that good, you have to work with it every day. You build a skill, right? The more time you spend in Animate or Photoshop or InDesign, Illustrator, whatever product, it could even be another tool that you're using. The more time you spend with it, the better you are, the better you are at it, the higher your skills are with that program. So just to show you, if you don't want to kind of go through the whole thing, those are some things that you can work on. Right now, I think V is a pretty good shortcut to memorize because we're always going back to V. So as a matter of fact, when I'm working, I usually have my finger resting on the V. Right? That's how my hand laid out. I have my mouse on one side and I have my finger just on the letter V, so I can basically go back to it really quickly because we're using it a lot. So I'm going to V. We're there in our selection tool. And then now I'm going to start carving some things away, right? And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to click on the orange right above your oval, right? And it's going to have this like polka dot little pattern, little white polka dots, but it's also going to change the color of the orange. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the delete key. Boom. And I just deleted the fill. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start selecting. And that's pretty cool. I love when this part, it's so satisfying, right? So then I'm going to click to each of a piece of the stroke that it's on top of it. And I'm going to start carving it away. Just clicking on it with my selection tool and hitting the delete key. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to undo so I can kind of go through this process one more time with you. So just in case I moved a little too fast. So all you got to do is just select it. Once you see that polka dot, just hit delete key. Select the line or the stroke above it, the stroke to the right, stroke to the left, and we start deleting. And that's how we basically start. And that's the backspace arrow. I mean, the backspace key also, for those of you at home. We can also click all the line segments, all right? And we're going to start, we're actually going to remove the stuff from the bottom too. So we're going to go and click that. We'll delete. Click the left stroke, the right stroke, and the bottom stroke. Boom. Hopefully that looks like a cylinder now, right? So, hopefully that looks like a cylinder. Let's go ahead and do one more Command Z, or you can come up here again, hit File and Save, right? Because we want to make sure we don't lose our project, right? And I'm going to go back to our destination. We want to kind of make this, we want to make this mug, and hopefully you can kind of see where we're going, right? We're getting there. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're carving, we're using the skills, we're doing what we do best, right? Or at least we're doing what we do as much as we can. I'm not gonna say the best because we're just learning. All right, so when drawing Animate, you'll often start with the rectangle and oval tools, but to create more complex graphics, you'll use tools to modify these base shapes. So we just got these shapes, and you can start using different tools to create them. And we're going to use some tools right now to adjust this so that this cylinder turns into the coffee cup. Okay. So obviously there's some things, and I'm just going to go back here real quick. Obviously we're going to have to add this little handle somehow. And this isn't a straight V line. It's kind of tapered. There's all of these different things that need to be moved. And we're going to actually use those tools right now to get it to a basic shape. So the tools that we're talking about is the free transform tool, the copy and paste commands, the selection tool. All right. And we're also going to use like a little budge tool, and we'll get to that in a second. And so those are the tools that we're going to use right now to kind of start shaping, or continue shaping, not start because we'd already started, continue shaping this cylinder. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to our free transform tool, which is right underneath our selection tool, right? And it's right here. I'm going to click around here. Oh, I have a little baby box. I got to delete that. All right, so it's right here. It's free, hover around it, and it's the free transform tool. You'll click that. And what's going to happen here is what we need to do again, we're going to be editing this cylinder. And we're going to do it by clicking and selecting the whole thing. Remember, we want to select not just the oval shape, but the old cylinder shape, all the strokes, and all the fills. So we're going to go ahead and select it by clicking and dragging. I'll do that one more time. Click off the stage, and then just click and drag diagonally so it can select everything. Once it selects everything, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue, and we're actually going to hold Shift and Command together. Those of you at home, you're going to hold down Shift and Control if you don't have a Mac. Shift and Command, you're going to hold those two. You're going to press those two before you do anything with this hand. So click Shift and hold those two. And what you're going to do is you're going to grab the right or the left little box down here, right? And you're just going to shrink it. Okay. And again, this is going to be to your specifications. There's nothing that we're actually going to be making. There's nothing that we're actually going to be specifying for that. So it's just your preference, all right? So we made it look like a cylinder where the bottom is smaller than the top, right? Now it looks more, and I'm going to go back to I'm going to hit V to go back to my selection tool because I don't want to go way over there. And I'm going to click off or click anywhere outside of the graphic. And now that looks more like a coffee cup. We're shaping, we're moving around, right? Again, that's what we're going to be doing. So now we're going to be, where we look here, and I want you to go back to what we're going to. And it looks like we have some thickness on the rim, right? On this coffee cup. And we have some coffee inside the coffee cup, which is a beautiful, rich brown. And if you're in first period animation, I'm pretty sure some of you have already had your coffee, and maybe some of you missed your coffee. I'm sorry, it's Monday, right? At least it's Monday for this particular lesson, right? So then we're going to come back here, and let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and use our selection tool. So make sure you're in V again. We're going to click the edge of the oval, the top oval. So we'll click that, right? And then we actually need to we're going to hold down Shift and click the bottom. So we just selected, all we did, and again, this is the white polka dots, little tiny polka dots will let you know what's selected. We need to make sure that the top and the bottom is selected, and that way we're not going to affect the fill. We just want the outline, the stroke, right? And once they're both selected, and again, I held down Shift and I clicked, first I clicked the top stroke, and then I Shift clicked the bottom stroke, so to be able to have that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down, you can go up to Edit, Copy here, right? Or you can do Command C to copy. They're both the same thing. Here's a shortcut over here, Command C. I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edit, and I'm going to go ahead, paste in place. Right. So there's two different type of pastes here, paste in the center or paste in place. I'm going to go ahead and we are going to go ahead and paste in place. So I just did that. It doesn't look like it did anything, but if you click it, let me go ahead and come over here. If you go ahead and you, the duplicate Again, it looks like nothing happened, but the duplicate's still selected, by the way. And we're gonna change it in a second. All right. So what we need to do now, since it's still selected, all we have to do, it should, don't do anything else. Don't click anywhere. If you deselected it, go ahead and go back and click and shift click again so that the stroke has the little polka dots. And we're going to go to our free transform tool, right? Look what happens when I click the free transform tool. Boom, right? What happens is it automatically creates the little box with all the little points that we can adjust. All right, those little boxes all the way around, those are points of adjustment. We can kind of move things around and pull things around on that shape. And we're going to hold down shift and we're going to actually grab one of the corner little boxes and we're going to drag it inward so that we can make it about, we're going to make the thickness of our cup. I want to make mine somewhat semi-thick, and I'm going to leave it there. All you're going to do is grab the corner and drag it in, right? I'll Control Z this. Again, Shift, click one of the little edge boxes, and then drag it in. And again, it's snapping, right? So I'm going to make my coffee cup. Let me see. I'm going to make it probably a little bit thicker right there. So I make my coffee cup thick because I don't want to burn my hands, right? I want to make a thicker coffee cup. So we've made one, and so we can go ahead and click anywhere. And wow, that looks pretty cool, right? I can click anywhere, and that'll give us the thickness of our coffee cup. And if we go back to our end file, you can see that it has that cool thickness of the coffee cup. All right, we're getting there. We're chugging along. All right, so hopefully you've gotten to that part. But right now, let's go ahead and make the coffee that's in the cup. All right, and I'm going to remind you what it looks like. We're going to make this coffee in the cup. Some of you already guessed what we're going to do because your mindset is in that particular area, and we don't have to actually copy anything else because we need another oval. And all we have to do here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a copy and paste, edit, paste in place, and you're going to see the one that's there already selected, and we can go ahead and just, and we can just hit the selection tool, V. Okay. And we can just drag this down. All right. And we drag it down, there. All right. So now we have another oval there. Okay. And we have some drink that's kind of filling everything up. But you know what? Let's go take this back a little bit. Let's go ahead and let's go to our free transform tool and let's make this a little smaller. Right? Go back to our selection tool and let's bring that down. I like that better. Again, this is just personal preference. If you did it the other way, just undo. And if you were successful the first way, just leave it that way. This is more artistic choices. All right, so there we go. So now we have a second oval. All right, and again, we do use a free transform tool to go in and out, and we're able to work our section. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click on the white stage just so that we can deselect everything, and we're going to start. Let's go ahead and let's sculpt some more. Right. Let's go ahead and let's start deleting the stroke from our cup. Just click, and I'm hitting the delete key. So I click it, select it, and delete the key. And I gotta get these little strokes inside the thickness. Boom. And there you go. There is our, we have our little coffee inside. Okay. And it may look different from this a little bit. You see, it's more like it's tilted towards you. Mine's more like tilted back, right? Yours may look better than mine as far as closer to what the original picture is. So what I also want to do is I want to get rid of this bottom top line also. So now it looks completely like we can't see through the cup. Now we have the outside of the cup. All right. So we're almost done for this particular lesson. I want to make sure that we get to a certain point. So now if we go back, we can start seeing that it does look like it's starting to look like a cup, right? But if you look again, that this is it has a bulge on both sides. So we're going to do that bulge right now. And the bulge is actually really easy to do with our selection tool. Okay. If you're not there, you can always hit V. And then we're going to basically run our arrow along the edge of our cup, right? And then you're going to start seeing like this little smiley face or this little smile. Whenever you hear the smile, that means you can click it and you can adjust that line. So you can click. I'm going to click. I'm using clicking right now. All right. Actually, I'm going to click off the side. When I see that smiley face, I can click and I can just pull on it. And it's big. See, I can pull on it really big. But I'm just going to want to bulge a little bit. All right. And on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bulge it kind of toward the middle. So there it looks like a rounded coffee cup, right? Again, we're using our tools to shape. So now we've adjusted this. And again, this is, if you're wanting to create art in Animate, you can using the brushes. Again, this is just a basic tutorial on basic shapes, right? So again, we can definitely create some extra different things going on here. So we've got a little coffee cup running, right? We got one more thing to do before this tutorial's over. All right. And I just want to make sure that we're able to do that. And of course, what I really want to do is I want to change the inside here to look like coffee. And I want the stroke to be like a darker edge where there's like a coffee buildup on the side. So it has like the stroke is a little darker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the tools panel over here and I'm going to look for this paint bucket. All right. And the paint bucket looks like it's just somebody grabbing paint and just dumping the paint. The reason for that, the icon looking like that, it's because we're not literally, but digitally going to dump the paint into a certain selection. So we're going to click that paint bucket and we're going to go over here. We're going to traverse and we're going to go all the way over here to the fill. And I want to make some coffee. So I'm going to click that. And the coffee color that I've chosen, or the book has chosen, is hashtag 66 and 3333. So it's 66 and 4 threes, right? And just hit enter. And so now my bucket of paint is loaded with that brown color. And all you got to do is just click in the center of the fill. Just click right here in the center and it fills it all up. Now I got some coffee, right? Got coffee color. It's pretty cool. So that if I click anywhere else, it's gonna spill that bucket of paint, right, inside whatever shape or whatever little section that I touch. But I don't want to do that right now. What I want to do is I just want to affect this little line, the stroke. For the stroke, we need to use a different tool. And that different tool is we click on that and we hit the ink bottle tool. That it gives us a little more precision, right? And that's why it gives us the stroke. So now we're going to change the stroke color. We want this a little darker. So we're going to do this hashtag. All right. And the color we're going to do here is 33, then 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's hashtag 33 and then 4 zeros. Then enter. And then we're just going to click. And again, if you want to zoom in, let's zoom into 300 so we can actually see that stroke real nice. Right. And I'll click that. And see it made that stroke color really dark, right? And it changed it and it made it really, really, really solid. So hopefully you've got that. Again, this is what you should get. We're traveling. Our destination is this coffee cup, and of course at the end we're going to do this whole text menu kind of deal. And so this is our first part. We're stopping for today. This is part A. And I hope that you guys have gotten here. I'm going to go ahead and you guys can have the rest of the period to play around, but make sure that you hit file, right? And then save to make sure that we saved this file. And then you can go ahead and you can exit out. That's it for today, guys. We're going to go with part B tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.